Hi everybody, it's Adrian Nelson here. And today I want to speak about our soul family because sometimes in life we feel very alone and we feel very afraid and we feel like there's no hope, none whatsoever, you know. And at these times being a human being can be incredibly challenging, you know. And I mean, we've all been there at some stage, If you're anything like me, you've been there several times. Because I think one of the fundamental things in life that we forget or choose to ignore, or, whatever the case may be, um, is that we just work better together, you know. And I think sometimes because the soul is curious, I think sometimes, we keep on going to the next level, the next level, the next level of the game. And obviously, next level, all it kind of requires maybe like more forgetfulness, quicker remembering or whatever it is that you want to put in. But what I want to remind you of, apart from all of that, is that we are a soul family. When we think of ourselves, we think of ourselves just as individuals, but it's at times like those that we either again forgot, or choose to ignore, or for some reason we in arms or at arms, with the idea that that we are part of this broader connection, this broader soul connection. But it's so beautiful for me because in things like my tarot readings, and I've been doing tarot for more than 20 years now, I would often see these beautiful patterns and these beautiful things, and it would usually be very difficult, sort of to explain to people. Oh, sorry. It's my dog here. That's actually the reason why you're not seeing my face today, because my doggy went for sterilization yesterday, and he's not feeling his strongest today, and subsequently I haven't slept much last night, because he was still adjusting to the cone. And then obviously the night before, because I sort of had anxiety about the idea that I actually have to go there. Um, it's interesting how life can bring something around to remind you of what is really valuable about life. It's very interesting, because sometimes we, we fall a bit deeply into the game, and then something has to come around to shake us a bit, so like, hey, like, yo, like, bzz, let's activate the, a next level or reset or whatever, yeah. And that's our soul family, you know. When we speak about us as just ourselves, and we make ourselves just individual me, that is when we begin to feel the isolation, and that is when we begin to feel the fear and the hopelessness and the despair, and the expecting bad things to happen. And what we sometimes don't even realize, as a way of almost trying to protect ourselves, we actually create the drama ourselves that we are actually really genuinely want to escape, and we don't see that. And so families, all family members can come around for all different sorts of reasons. It's not always just for growth. Sometimes it's just to hang out together. You say we're gonna go to Earth. Let's do this Earth thing. But like we just, like the two of us, we just want to have fun. That's just our vibe in the whole, in the whole vibe, basically, in the whole setup, in the whole production. And then so maybe you become best friends, or maybe you don't want such a long relationship, so you're like a human being and a dog, or you know, maybe you want something really infinitely beautiful and special, but you maybe only need it for say maybe about a year and a half. So maybe you build a relationship between say maybe the owner and the person who keeps fish that only stay alive for either a year and a half, or I mean, it doesn't mean that the fish have to die. They could be passed on to someone else, or something like that. There's always a beautiful solution to everything. And the thing to understand is that when we open ourselves to the idea that we have this whole soul family with us, and we are, I mean, calling a spade, we are each other's happy helpers, and we find ways to reconnect. I think sometimes we are so concerned. I mean, I take it from my past as well, definitely, very, very strongly, that, I would be like, but I can't understand how there could possibly be people out there that are helping me because everything is going so bad for me. But when I look back now, I realize that those people that were quote unquote such horrible people, and that they did all these horrible things to me, is because they were propelling me forward. They were the parts of me, the subconscious, that I would subject onto the consciousness, because really we are just actors in each other's games, you know, that are projected outwards. Um, it's just the thing to remember is that we are not alone. We come here as a whole fleet, and I think the wonderful thing to also know about soul family is that wherever you go, it's like your holy guardian angel, which is in essence your higher self, soul family, so to speak, if you want to think of it like that. And we all have a guardian angel that's assigned to us before we even come here. Each of us individually, as a family, and the simplest way to really explain it, from what I would get in my readings, and also so beautifully, like when I do regression hypnosis sessions, the things that people explain. And I'm so grateful because I'm really blessed, because I sort of get to have the experience with you, you know, because my psychic gift work a lot like in pictures. So that's also why sometimes I'm not so good with words, but I, for example, get quite interested by things like, any sort of like expressive art, because it's sort of like it can show you what words sometimes I think, can't say. Well, some people are very good with words. But anyways, so as a soul family, yes, we have all these different incarnations, and so we make these plans for how we will hook up. And because we understand that Earth is just a game, we sort of assume the roles that we assume in order to also find a way back to each other. So when we can understand that there's, or I think we all know, no, I think that sounds a little derogatory, I'm sorry. But when we can open ourselves to the knowing and the understanding that, that there is this perfect plan that's already set out there for our lives. And if we just follow that, then the best way to do that is to live in your power. And that means that you have to understand, what your yeses are. But in order to really understand your yeses and your options and the opportunities for your life, to unlock your own miracles, you need to understand what your no's are, because, those are the things that are blocking you from what it is that you'd like to have, you know. And it's interesting how that can work, because I am just about to wrap up my advanced tarot reading course, and I've got like a couple of them on the Udemy platform under my name. I haven't even told you my name. I'm Adrian Nelson, sorry. I'm a life transformation practitioner. Oh, you okay, baby? You all right? Sorry. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I was trying to, so desperately to wrap up this course, and it sort of started feeling like my brain was melting down, because there was this very important part that I didn't want to leave out, but I kind of realized that I left it in, that the course is just too long. And, I went around frustrated, for about, maybe 3 or 4 days, and I said to myself, whoa, 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 slow your roll, boy. you know, maybe there's something else there. And then I created a different course from that, Abundance Manifestation Masterclass from it. And it's also on Udemy, and I'm like, okay, now this is perfect, because now the two slot together. And so in life, when we do that, so now I kind of put that out there now, you know what I mean? And then some people, the family members of mine, they are attracted to it. So they are attracted to sign up for the course. And it doesn't just mean that it means that we have to hang out or anything like that. It could just be that, maybe they just needed a way to, to sort of like remember who they are, to assist in that part of their, I don't really say reawakening, remembering. You know what I mean? Because within us, we all have the knowledge. And as soul family members, we play these different roles so that the individual parts of us, get to almost like enhance our individual experience. But then, we collectively rise together, And I think a concern that people have sometimes with their soul family is that, well, what if, sort of like, what if, so like, what if I'm in this lifetime and there's no soul family members here for me at the moment, or there's very few, or they're very far away? And the thing that we need to remember in that equation is that we live in a universe of infinite possibilities. Every single possibility that could ever possibly be already is. So in that sense, even when it comes to, to manifestation, as I outlined in this course that I now did, this, this blah, blah. Anyway, so, but what I'm really explaining is that, it is, oh, sorry. I thought there was somebody by the door. I thought that's very weird. Nobody comes to visit me, and now I lost my trail of thought. I'm sorry. But we are here to, to support each other. And, oh, yeah, yeah. So we are always sort of, time and space and those sort of things, it's a concept here within Earth. It's something that makes the game work. It sort of like contributes towards the experience of almost like continuation, you know? And people explain this so beautifully in regression hypnosis sessions. It's like every time somebody explains it, I hear it new, because essentially we are all just different parts of each other. So the people that come to us, they are, or the people that we go to, or the people that we connect with, they are all our soul family members. So, the more you get to know something about someone else, the deeper you understand them, and the better the opportunity to even actually love them better, even if before you were at arms with them. And loving somebody better doesn't always mean that you have to sacrifice yourself, like throw yourself under the bus. But yeah, I think especially something sometimes when it comes to being, having physical distance from someone. I think that sometimes what is very difficult is the idea of, does that person hate me? But I think that, what we sometimes, I wouldn't even say fail to understand, just have a difficult sort of like time wrapping our mind around, is that, it's sort of, how do I say this? Time really doesn't exist. It literally just doesn't. And I remember when I first started to study astrology, you really get to see in a way that can be logically explained, in earthly terms, how time is a created thing. It doesn't exist. We made it up, and we adhere so much of our life to it. But from the universal point, everything happens exactly when it's supposed to, because every possibility already exists. So it's more your mindset and your set of beliefs and your, what we would call your vibration, that determines the experience that you have. And a lot of times we believe that maybe, something is possible or something isn't possible. But whether we believe it's possible, and I know that somebody said that, I just don't know who it is now, but whether we believe that something is possible or whether you believe that something is not possible, essentially it's exactly the same thing. There is no difference between the two, because you say to the universe, universe, this is, I have the potential to do really great. And the universe goes like, all right then, let's do this. Here we go. Let's clap our hands together. Let's get this ball rolling, And then you say to the universe, there is no way that I can do this. I just don't have what it takes. And the universe is like, all right, let's all put on the brakes, everybody. Everybody going to halt. Let's go into a deep freeze. Ain't nothing going to happen here for quite some time, So a lot of times, we wait on life, where in actual fact we don't understand that life is waiting on us. Maybe sometimes we forget that, And sometimes, because of the soul contracts that we have and the agreements that we have, you get, for example, those fucking construction workers that are coming to disturb your peace when all you really want is just to be left alone in this world. And here they now are, drilling a hole or digging a pole or some water pipe burst or some other calamity and whatever, and you're like, oh my goodness. Even the universe is against me now. You have that, you obviously, I'm pretty sure you've had that experience before. I've had it several times. I'm like, oh, even the universe is against me. It's funny because it's like, it's when people go like, oh, even the dark doesn't like me, and they don't actually realize that it's them giving out the vibration. I didn't realize it, and for many times when I did realize, I didn't want to realize that. So I chose to ignore it. I mean, we do that. But then we get that soul member that comes into this, that at a certain point we had the agreement they're going to come in, and because you may be so down in your low lows, you can't be brought out of there with love and light. I mean, love and light stands no fucking chance in this space, you know what I mean? So you need to be sort of like drilled out of your deep freeze a little bit to say to life, no, let's take things forward again. So in that way, our soul family helps us as well. So everybody that comes into your world, every single person that comes into your world is a member of your soul family. Even the person that you don't like, even the person that does terrible things, even the person that pushes you, because they propel us in a certain direction. And I'm not saying that the things that some of the things that people do are okay. I mean, people do some crazy stuff, some really, really crazy stuff, some very concerning stuff. So I'm definitely not saying that is okay. But know that every person, that comes into your life, they are there not with the potential, with the potential based on, the vibration that you are at, but every person that comes into your life and every person that leaves your life and every moment that happens and everything that happens, it's from the universe's point of view, it's all the same thing. Because it's all part of the game. And it's a game that we put ourselves together, but we have the opportunity to also choose within the game. And that's what makes the game so interesting. But that's also how we get ourselves into sticky situations sometimes, But at whichever turn we take, and I think this is the important thing to know, is that it doesn't matter where we go in life, how deep we go, how low we go, how low we fall. There will always be members of our soul family to meet us there, So whether you are living, average, so what, I mean, no life is really average, but you know what I mean, like what people would consider a normal, average, everyday life, middle class life, upper middle class, like whatever, But to the universe, that is all a miracle because it's all expression. It's like when you look at a picture, usually if you're really mesmerized by a picture, you're taken in by the whole thing. Even if parts of it is like ugly or there's blood or whatever, because it's all part of the same picture. That is what's captivating you, it's the story. But in life, we sometimes try to edit things out. And by trying to do that, we try to, we almost in a sense go against our nature. And that is when things become very challenging for us. But even at that point, there are always soul members that even if you are not at the capacity or you are not choosing for yourself, because sometimes we're not doing well, we say, well, I'm not going to try to do better, I won't, I refuse. So in that point, the highest thing that you might be opening yourself for at that particular point in time is maybe just support, and that is where we sometimes make friends, because that is really all that we need. And there is sometimes in those times where we find those special friends, those special, you can say almost like twin flame connections, those absolute best friends. I mean, I have friends that I've had for more than 20 years. And we will, I suppose, like my best friend and I, we spoke about this one day actually, we suppose you can say that, we know everything about each other, but that's the amazing thing about life. And I think that's why I love the tarot so much, is that when you believe that you got it all, like when you really seem like seriously, come on now, hands down, definitely, I've got this. Like my mind is, sufficiently blown. Then life shows you that maybe that is just the first step to like a different space. And the more open you are to connections, the more you connect with the soul family that's right for you. I think sometimes what people say, let's say we do some coaching or something like that, they will say, you know what, Adrian, I'm very concerned because I'm a very introverted person. So yes, I'd like to connect with my soul family and I'd like to have the level of support that can come with it, because even though I'm an introverted person, I'm lonely, because I mean, as humans, we have needs. We are communal beings. We're like fish. We put a lot of them together in a tank, which is better than if just one. Well, there are exceptions to the rule, and in the same way, there are lone wolves in this life, because we come here for different reasons. But no matter where you go, there's always support. You're never alone, you know. And so if you're a very sort of like introverted person, remember there are infinite possibilities. And that's why, a lot of times in life we block ourselves off to things like love. And when we do find it, it's so horrible because, we had all these ideas of what love actually means. And it's all these sort of like, horrific sort of like expressions. Um, and so that is what we experience because that is what we allow. And in that sense, I would always say to someone, because this is how I look at it for myself, I see everything that happens in my life as a blessing, a potential for a blessing, a potential growth, an opportunity to go to the next level, to understand life better and myself better, which in essence is the same thing, you know. Um, and when you are open to that, the right people come into your life. They come at the right times, they leave at the right times, and when we understand that we never really cut off from someone, then we don't feel so, almost like horribly unfulfilled when they're not within our presence, when we're not always talking and that sort of thing, because, in energy, we understand that we are never sort of like dislocated from each other. We can't be, we're the same thing, and so, and even, and to give you an idea around that, is so let's say you are me. I mean, I'm a typical Cancerian. I love my home. I love being at home. I love it. Okay? And I've got my doggy, which is great because now it means I actually get outside. So I wake up early in the morning, I get some fresh air, you know. So if you want to send out a hit man, I am pretty punctual with my morning times, you know. Um, but so yeah, we always have support. But then when you can open yourself to the idea that there's already a perfect plan, that's when the plan starts to fall in perfection for everyone. And that is when we have those strangers that begin to come into your life. So say for example, and this is all a game that we play. So you are the person who likes to maybe go out and experience the world, and you want to feel things, and you want to do things, and you want to, do all sorts of stuff. You want to be very active within the simulation, and that's great. So you become the career-driven person, the passionate person, the artist, the manager, the leader, the person aspiring to more, whatever. You become that person because that's the experience your soul want to have. My soul want to come in and have a blast of a time. I mean, in my, like, I would say after I left high school, because 3 months later I moved from my parents' house, and I was like a thing that was set free. Yeah. And I had the most wonderful time because I got it out of my system, and these days I'm very chill, you know. And it's funny, and this is interesting. So when you get to understand the game more, you don't get offended by things because you understand it. So let me tell you a funny story here. So the other night I was standing in my kitchen. I think this was about 2 weeks ago. It was a Friday evening. I was standing in my kitchen. I was making myself a cup of tea, and I think it was about 10:30, 10:30 in the evening. So it was dark outside, and I think it was sort of chilly in Cape Town as well. And I was making myself a cup of tea, and I think it must have been about 10:30 there around. And I saw these young people walking past, and they were like all dressed up, looking very funky, very thinly dressed. But when you're young, you can't be bothered by the weather, and that's perfect because that's where you should be, And I think that for me, I actually find the more I return to that state, I realize that I can have the same experience in a different way, which is interesting. And that's the beautiful thing about life. The longer you stay, the more you get to see how you can experience it in different ways. And it's all beautiful and perfect if you allow yourself to experience it as such. But anyway, so I see these youngsters walking past, and, they are giving me that look that I would have given to someone, because you could see me from through my kitchen window, that I would have given. Shame, look at him, poor old man, probably making himself a cup of tea there in the kitchen. Who knows? Maybe he's even pouring some drink into that tea. Little do they know that I had a whole bottle of wine earlier that day. I had some personal things that I needed to deal with, and I just had to ground myself. And sometimes that's what we should do. I mean, that's what works for me. It's not a everyday thing. I mean, I haven't done it in a very long time, but Sometimes we need to allow ourselves to just be human because that's what we came here to do. And the thing to know is that there is support of soul family members all over the place. You know, last night I was in this beautiful, beautiful Q&A session that my friend was running, and I think that she's going to run them every month. Her name is Natal, Nael, quite amazing. And I was sitting and I was thinking to myself, this is so cool, because you're just in this company and it's a free space because it was done on Zoom. So when I say free, I mean a space in which you can feel free, like freedom within your soul, and everybody's connecting here for the same reason, and that is just to to hopefully help each other to do better in life, and I mean those kind of things rock, you know and it's so cool. And I was saying to myself, it's so amazing how everything in life just works out, you know maybe myself and those people that were in that webinar will see each other again, maybe we'll never see each other again, maybe, I don't know. Life is interesting like that. Sometimes we just need to connect with someone for a moment for a certain reason, and then we all then go in our different directions again, and it's perfect for everyone. But I think, know that we all have soul family. Know that you're never here alone. Know that you don't have to worry about whether you are here alone. What if I don't have soul family? What if I wish for it and then there is another thing that I fail at? We all have soul family. I am your soul family and you are my soul family, because you are hearing me now, and maybe you've heard of me before, and maybe you've never heard of me before, but we have now made a connection within our souls. And the connection that we are making is the remembering, of sort of like the realization, the always knowing that we've always been connected. So I think that's what I was going to say. So get someone like me, for example, who obviously, so the thing is, no matter, like, even the soul comes here for certain experiences, you also have to play within, you also have to play the game within the game, and that's what we sometimes forget. So, someone else becomes like some professional, I become like a tarot reader, so you maybe at some point look for some guidance in your life, you look for a tarot reader, you pay me for that money, you're happy to give it, I'm happy to take it, I do the service for you, whatever it is, hypnosis, massage, whatever. But we connect in that way. And in that sense, we play by the rules of earth, because even though it's a way of in love and in energy and in spirit connecting to each other, we still live in a 3D world where, where the exchange is money. And a lot of times we try to not play the game by the game, but that is usually when things start to go bad for us. You know what I mean? But there is a way that we would then make all these clever plans, instigate all these clever plans within the matrix to connect with each other, Or maybe I've got a problem, say, with my dog, so, I go to the vet, for example. And we think of those things all as ones of sort of things, but we never know. And I think sometimes we will never know. Maybe that is why we have the experience of popping out of life and into life, because we get to see things from a almost like consciously, in a sense, see them from a more altered perspective, so we can say, well, I'd like to do this and this and that next, But we help each other with that, because, it's all you. But when we speak about all you is everyone. Everyone is us. We are everyone. We are all connected, and we find these ways back to each other. And I think that is why it's always important to follow your instinct. But with that being said, that's also based on what your beliefs are about yourself and from which fields you might be operating, because, it's like astrology, or like the Kabbalistic tree of life, which I'm kind of like excited about, because I'm about to finish those lessons, probably only while I'm teaching Reiki tomorrow. I've got a client on Sunday, Monday, I'll see. I'm not sure, but it will be done soon. But it's like we find ways to connect with each other. And what we sometimes don't understand is that by looking for our soul family, what we actually, when you so desperately look for them, can somebody just fucking love me type of thing. Sometimes it's good to give a good scream, because, you need that deep awakening, that deep unfreezing, so that like spirit can really help you to the level that, because you can only really be supported to the level that you allow. And that's the thing about free will, But we can really help each other grow. Okay, we can really help each other expand. And the thing is that the more we try to desperately look for our soul family, the less we find them, because we just create the experience of being, separated from them. But when we can work on loving ourselves, when we focus on ourselves and we cultivate our own gardens, and if we look at somebody else's grass, we look at it so it can be inspired by, how are they doing it, and then being inspired to find that magic spark inside of yourself, because we all have beautiful gifts to give, and everybody's here to contribute something very beautiful. Maybe the singer is just here to contribute towards uplifting your soul, for example, because this whole earth thing can get pretty damn depressing sometimes. It can get a bit challenging. We need those little outlets, and that is where I think things like art and stuff like that comes in. And even fashion, and landscaping and architecture, and the way that you like your coffee. It is about it is, even if you do like coffee, or what, like different kinds and the scents and the memories, and like maybe you get into the coffee business or out of it, or whatever it may be. We we place these reminders in our life. So I'm going to recommend for you that if you want to connect with your soul family, that you open yourself to the idea that there's this beautiful support structure that's already available to you in life. You don't have to do anything to get it. You don't need to book anything with anyone. You want to be open to the idea of lovingly connecting with your soul family. And opening yourself to that. Now, obviously, with that being said, sometimes, as all of us do, and it's even myself, obviously, because being human is it's evolutionary. It's never stationary. So we always there, but we're also never quite there. So what we sometimes perceive certain people to do better at life than us. But those people might be in this equation of life for different reasons, or maybe they're here to unlock our compassion, Whereas maybe before you went past a person in the street and, you hardly noticed them. And it doesn't matter what they are, whether it's a business person in the street, or, a regular person in the street, or like a street person, or like sort of like living on the street, whatever it may be. A lot of times we just don't see life. We just don't see people. We just don't see. We go through life blindfolded until we can realize that everyone that passes us, that comes into our life, and whether they're in our lives from the beginning till the end, because there are those contracts, or whether they are there for just a period of time, which can be long or short, they are there for a reason. Even the people that pass us by on the street. We a lot of times when we are, say, in bigger cities, or places where we would maybe say there's a colder atmosphere. What sometimes happens, because we, as humans, we just like to fit in. That's just who we are. We are communal beings. We're like a pack of wolves, and I think that's why we like to keep dogs, because dogs are like a pack of wolves. Cats in the wild would normally operate in a pack. So wonder about the family, the other soul part of your family you like to keep, because that's what your pets are, But every part of living, a plant, a crystal, that's part of your soul family, because it carries energy. And it has energy that it is happy to freely share with you, It's really beautiful when we begin to realize how much we are. Both you and I are that flowing water. And even though it's the same water flowing around and around and around in the fountain, it is also never really the same water again, because it does a circle, There's obviously some sort of life cycle happening in the bottom of this black, bottom, because that water's been in there for like about a month now since I moved. I just stopped it up, and obviously with each little bit there's some condensation taking place, and I don't really know what the time is at the moment. I think it's about 10 in the morning, 10, maybe 11. No, not 11 yet, must be around 10. Maybe before 10, I don't know. But, from the time that I started speaking up until now, it's a different moment. So everything is different, everything has changed. The winds have literally changed. And we think of life sometimes as this one long ongoing flow, but it's actually a lot of snippets put together. And sometimes what we have the tendency to do, well, it's better to just go with it because it's one big script. I always say to people, it's okay to be in the flow. Just make sure that you're in the right kind of flow, the flow that serves you positively, that to your benefit. Um, but when we can come from the ideas, as I said, that there's already a plan, then things are easier for us, you know? And a lot of times we build a lot of resistance for ourselves because we stop at the worst part of the actual form. We stop at the parts that hurt us, where we suffer, and we zoom in on that and we dissect it. And we don't, often realize that the ones that keep us in that horrible pattern is us, because, as this beautiful lady said yesterday in this, this beautiful online Q&A that I was with, is that, but who's the one suffering? And I thought to myself, that's such a profound question, A lot of times we get so upset about what somebody else is doing to us. But, the question to maybe ask is, but who is the one suffering here? Who is the one that is disadvantaged here? Who is the one that's in pain here? Who is the one that is the victim here? And then sometimes we fail to see how we are actually placing ourselves in the victim space. And that comes from fear, and that is often the fear of being hurt again. Maybe at some point in your life you were disappointed, or maybe you were always the one who had to take responsibility for things. So maybe there's a trauma wound there. And that could maybe be from childhood. And with saying that it could be from childhood, which usually it is, remember we come here to mold and shape each other. And when we get almost like sort of like in arms, so to speak, say with, our parents or our significant elders or, life influences or whatever the case may be. But we sometimes fail to forget, or fail to remember, sorry, would hope that you fail to forget, but fail to remember is that everybody is here on a path, and on a mission, and same as us, our parents and all the other significant, role players in our lives, they can only operate from the level of consciousness that they are at for their evolution and their path. And not everybody that comes onto our path that does us what we would call wrong, are really deviating us from the path. Because sometimes we need a little bit of a shake-up. Sometimes life has to say, yo, this ain't the way you want to go. Baba, you want to go in a different direction here. You know what I'm saying? And so in that sense, we, just imagine, I remember I was watching the YouTube channel of Quasi Jourier, who is incredible. It's fantastic. It's mind-blowing. I like the idea of just sharing. You know what I mean? Because then we just make the world better for everyone. And the thing is, when we don't like to share, it really comes from a fear of lack and limitation, because what if I give to you, then there's not enough for me? When other people feel like when someone else gets it, they must also get from that, because, I raised you, or I was there for you, or like, you remember that time when you were down and out and you wanted to jump off the bridge, I was the one who spoke you over the ledge, or back, like the side of the, it's like seriously, you're going to bring that up right now? I mean, like let's low. You got some healing you got to do. But the beautiful thing is that when we understand that, we don't judge, okay? Because, and it's because you don't judge doesn't mean that you just accept. Because maybe you can still decide that you don't like, or I'm not compliant with this. Yes, I must have manifested at some point, but can we null and void this one? Not gonna do this. You know what I mean? We can do that. And in whichever direction we choose, there will always be soul family there to help us. Be it that the clerk that is there, that either is the nicest, most wonderful, friendly person when you were maybe a little bit nervous, or that really pissed you off. But then that pissing off maybe is the exact thing that made you realize that you had enough of life throwing you around, pushing you around, you got to take your power back. And then maybe that is the thing that makes you say, you know what, let me just book with this fucking tarot reader. Let me see what the fuck this shit is about, because I've tried everything else and nothing is working. You know what I mean? And it's better in life that we're just honest about how we feel, because a lot of times you want to have this thing of like, so you felt restricted and conflicted. No, you were fucking pissed off. You had enough of life shit. You were about to say cheers to all of this. That's how you were feeling. Basically just be honest about it. Otherwise we we do this plastic sort of supporting each other in life where I'm supposedly helping you forward, but I'm not. But with that being said, you know, just because a next level is available doesn't mean that we even want it. Because the soul, remember, likes to experience. So maybe a soul wants to be in a certain spot for a while. I mean, who's to say that, just because someone else doesn't choose to, you know, spiritually ascend at the level that you and I are, who's to say that their journey is wrong? I mean, isn't that a little bit presumptuous? You know what I'm saying? To kind of put that out there. I mean, this is their journey after all. Who are you to have a say? Who are you to have a say in that type of thing? But in that way, life is interesting. We play all these roles with each other. And I think I just want to leave you with knowing that you don't have to worry about ever being alone. That there's always soul family around you, and the more you can open yourself to that idea, that is how you just, quote unquote, randomly meet the right person at the right time. Or for some of you, you may realize it was the pet that you adopted, maybe the pet that you didn't want. I mean, I didn't want Bruno, And it's amazing how, a holy guardian angel and our individual and collective holy guardian angel can help us to connect with our soul family. And all we need to say is, you place your hand on your heart, you take a nice deep breath, and you say yes to it. And as you blow out, you release all resistance across all possibilities and all dimensions, for your highest good only. You just open yourself to it, And does it mean that somebody kapoof is just going to come land, somebody's going to drop ship the right sort of soul family member in front of your door? I could say no, but as a person who's quite the introvert, I must tell you, I've had some amazing people step into my life in the most amazing sort of way. So yes, the right people do come and knock at our door sometimes. But that's not if we stand there and watch the door like a hawk, They must come, they must come, they must come. Because we only experience what we put out. So if you're putting out that sort of anxiety, it's a sense of resistance, and then you actually repel from you what you would like to attract to you. Okay? But and it's so simple, when we start to begin to focus on the beauty of life, at what is working. To give you an example, we've had power outages in South Africa for the longest period now. For years, daily, And when I was moving to Cape Town, I started to proactively think about what I'm going to have to do to have backup power. And I said to myself, you know what, I think I'm just going to sort it out when I get there. And you know what happened in a country where millions of people are daily affected by power outages? I have power all the time. And I used to be in strong resistance. I mean, if you look at some of my earlier Facebook posts, it's fucking this and fucking that, and all the other adjectives. But then I realized that, okay, so the power goes out twice, maybe 3 times a day, and then I get so agitated that even when it comes back on again, I also end up doing nothing, because now I'm still angry and I'm still furious and I'm still in some negative coping mechanism, So I end up doing nothing. And so I thought, well, maybe this is a blessing in disguise, And I started going outside more. I sat outside with Bruno. We had another dog, Lucy, most beautiful, beautiful dog. And I just sat outside on the grass and meditate for 2 hours. And when I came back, I'm telling you, I shined bright like a diamond. At some point, people were like, Adrian, you're really shining. And I was wondering, what are these people talking about? But then I remembered what I'm doing. Reconnecting in with myself, because we are all part of everything. We are part of the earth. And that is why grounding is so amazing, or just taking a nice deep bath. Speaking of, I'm going to do that today. A nice hot shower, or a cold shower, or a dip, or as long as it's safe. But, that's a disclaimer, but the soul is going to say, as long as it gives me pleasure and joy. So I'm going to encourage you to live your life and to know that no matter what happens, and it doesn't matter where you go, you are never alone. You are never, ever alone. You cannot be, you can't be. We are all connected to each other. And when, sometimes I would say to people, when they say, well, how do I get past it? I say, well, let's look at what is connecting you to it. And that sometimes means that you have to look at those dark places, at the fears. But you've got one or two options. You can either keep on being a victim of your fears, which are most likely than not 99.9% inherited fears in any case. So it's got to stop somewhere. It could just as well be you. Otherwise, it goes back into the next generation. And what we sometimes don't realize with the next generation is not just biological family, because we're all soul family, we're all spirit family, we're all light, we're the same light, experiencing ourselves in different ways. So there's no such a thing as, okay, I don't have, I mean, there are people that are coming into this world, I think that they are just not people for children. And I think I definitely believe that I'm one of those people because, for me, I, I, I just think that knowing the sort of parent that I would be, and I'll give you full disclosure, I'll probably be an umbrella parent, it would distract me from, I would say, almost the other potential that I came to live in this life. It doesn't mean that either one is right or wrong. It's just me understanding, like from a young age, I have different options. This is the reason why I came here. This is why I chose. Yes, I like that. So these are the choices that I need to make in alignment with that. And then sometimes I think when we hear someone say that, it's easy to say, yeah, but, I didn't know that. And so I made all the wrong choices. And now, I'm too far gone. But that is not really true. Because when you think of it, if you live in a world of infinite possibilities, you can change your life just like that. It is just about changing a mindset, and more often than not, it's about releasing the fear that's holding you back. And we have got soul family of all shapes and forms that can help us with that. Some will hypnotize us, and some will teach us how to surf the biggest waves. Different strokes for different folks. We came here for different experiences, I mean, I understand not everybody came to lay on the couch, full of crystals and sound bowls and, Reiki and deep talking and deep past life explorations. That's a beautiful, 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 beautiful sacred experience that I love to facilitate, that people love to receive, but because we are the people that appreciate that. Other people may not, I mean, I was going to say maybe I won't get the most excited about going to stand next to a race course all day long, but then I do have a thing for speed. I've got a thing for adrenaline. It really excites me. I'm quite excited about life, and I seem to live it at the extremes. Like I was at the downest dumps to the point that you wanna, commit suicide because you're convinced you were a mistake. But then in that moment, my holy guardian angel came to me and reminded me that, hey, if what goes up must come down, then what goes down can also go up, and then that takes you on a whole different path in life. So in that sense, there's a blessing in everything. There's potential for beauty in everything. And our soul family members are there to help us every step of the way. As our spiritual guru, as the client of the spiritual guru, as the person who's the secretary at our office or being the secretary at the office, the friendly security guard that you see every day, the unfriendly security guard that you see every day. We all play the same roles, and the question to ask is, from the infinite possibilities that I can project, if you don't like where your life is at the moment, then it's actually really great, because then you have the opportunity to choose differently. Because the same mind that got you into the problem where you are, it's the same mind that can get you out of the problem and to the soul. There's no such a thing as a problem. It's just an opportunity. It's just a possibility. A possibility that has been chosen via emotion or vibration alignment, and now it's expressed. So if you look around your life and you like what you see, then great, And if you look around your life and you don't like what you see, then great, because then you can change it. And that starts with awareness. A lot of times, you'd say to people, well, what's wrong? They'll say, Adrian, I'm just miserable. I'm like, why are you miserable? They're like, I don't know. That's why I'm here. I want you to tell me why you're miserable, And then we work together at finding your solutions. And when I say work together, I'm not talking about, needing to book out 10 sessions here, so that you commit to this journey and you won't turn back and that sort of thing. But if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do, I mean, it's your choice. But, for some people, it's the same thing between, say, like the mystic and the occult. Some like to go faster, some like the oculist, they want to just gain the books and the knowledge and the astrology and the tarot, where the mystic is like, I just want to connect with that energy, and they just meditate themselves there, which could take 10 minutes to grasp, or, 45 years to grasp, or even longer, a lifetimes to grasp. The soul is not in a hurry. We are in a hurry with life because we forget who we are. We forget that we are part of a bigger whole. Yeah, like we are infinite, that we are everything and everything is us, you know? But in the same sense, with that being said, life is very precious. It's a very momentous sort of thing because you can only be in the now. But because you can only be in the now, and this is something so beautiful that my friend Natal said yesterday on her Q&A, is that because you can only be here and now, that is, a beautiful reminder. You can change the past in the now and thereby change the future. Meaning that you change your focus. And that doesn't mean that you don't stand up for yourself. You know, it's what, from which level are you standing up for yourself? Because a lot of times we're trying to fix the fact that you can't stand up for yourself, and we try to ball up our confidence and stuff like that. But I like to look at things more from the direction of like, well, why do you have difficulty standing up for yourself? Because if you understand that, if you understand the cause, then you know what you are releasing. So you are reprogramming the subconscious mind. You are rewiring your neurological patterns in your brain. Okay? So you are unlocking different possibilities within yourself. Because everything is already possible. It's just about it's about what is, possible. It's about making that possible for you. That's really what it's about. And in that sense, life is an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing game. It doesn't really stop. It's like tarot. You never really fully got it. As I said, just when you think you got it, you realize, oh my goodness, there's this. I mean, I had this experience early last year when I started to, what are we now, 2023? So no, sorry, more like mid last year. No, actually early. No, sorry, yeah, early last year. So early what, 2022. I started to study thought tarot, and I've always been like, what is this deal with these cards? And I mean, I've been fascinated by these cards for a while, but, I sort of just took my time, I suppose. But because you only bring the knowledge to yourself when you are ready, and it's so much, like, I remember at some point, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to take a break from this because your world just expands. And sometimes when we get so excited about something, we just want to share everything with everyone. And that is why I got myself stuck, actually, with creating that advanced tarot reading course, because I really wanted to put in so much, because the more you understand about something, the more options you have within it, In that sense, like, knowledge is, its potential power. It gives you choices, it gives you options. And I mean, but again, it was by saying, you know what, like, you can't expect to cram 20 plus years, into like a 10-hour course, which is now already like 11 hours and 30 minutes, and I still need to add like just a little bit of sacred geometry part to it, just to tie it all up. You know what I mean? And it's so nice that. But for today, that is not going to be done today. Today, we're just going to relax. Bruno's looking so much better. I think I'm going to take him for a walk outside. Maybe connect myself to the earth, walk barefoot on the grass. Sometimes in life, it's when life pulls us a little to the halt that we reconnect with ourselves again. And in that way, sometimes, even when it seems like something is falling apart, it could be the very thing that is bringing you back into alignment. And in that way, everything has the potential to be a blessing, especially the things in life that we sometimes feel is like the worst curse. So that's really quite amazing. Everything in life can be a blessing. And when you shape your mind around it, and you begin, instead of saying, oh my goodness, this is so horrible, this is so terrible, saying, well, who knows what amazing things may unfold from this. And people may say that's a pie in the sky mentality, but everybody that lives by that mentality really have very good lives. They live by the instincts, because we're instinctual beings. Our instincts, our emotions, our psychic connection, which we all have, it's our gut feeling. It's our GPS in this world. And a lot of times we ask ourselves why things are not working out, and it's because we're not following our guidance. We're not following our intuition, ourselves, who we authentically are. And to understand who you authentically are means that you really work to get that understanding of the allness and the greatness of who you are. And that also means that you continue to, I would almost say, be invested in the understanding of that, because I think, I mean, at least I'll speak for myself. Let me rather say that. I'll speak for myself that the more I understand all that I'm part of, the more I'm interested in learning about that. And in that sense, you know, I think because that is my flow and my curiosity, and how can I serve the community of life better? Because I do believe that I came here to serve, you know, to help humanity ascend, you know, to help them awaken to the true being of who they are. And obviously then I had to go through that process myself. But it's also understanding that you are continually going through the process, because we are continually you know, ascending to next levels and next levels and next levels, because everything is infinitely possible. The more you understand, the more you are able to experience, because the more you can see, the more you can observe, and everything is right there. It's just that we're not always able to get it, and sometimes we get frustrated that we're not there yet. But it is by being where you are right now that you get to over there, because nobody is really in the wrong place and nobody's really at the wrong time. You know, you can call it that, that can be your experience of it, but that doesn't make it the truth of it. In essence, we just are, you know, we literally just are. And the part in your brain that might spark with that, what is that part? That is what you want to question, you know. And yes, coaching can take you there, but I believe it's like it's like a spiritual awakening. Only you can really get it for yourself. And I wish you everything that's beautiful in life, and may your heart find many beautiful reasons to smile.